All right, let's talk a little bit about annotations. I would say nearly all manuscripts have a requirement to annotate the text within them. And sometimes this is done at the manuscript stage, and sometimes this is done at the outline stage. And even if you don't need to annotate the outline for your client, it's a good idea to have a copy of that for yourself where you have annotated the outline so that you can easily reproduce that annotation when you come to write the manuscript. All right, just a little time saving thing there. So, the difference between annotations and references, many times, surprisingly frequently, a client won't know the difference between what an annotation is and a reference. And if you say, "Do you need annotations for this manuscript?" they may think that you just mean the superscript number in the text and a reference list at the end. No, that's not what we're talking about. So, just to go back to this outline here, you can see these are annotations. And in the written manuscript, there's going to be like a number one, and then there's going to be a reference list at the end to which that refers. Just be sure that the client understands you're talking about annotations rather than references. There are many different formats for annotations. Just follow what the client gives you. So, for example, in this outline, we have a couple of annotations here. Eleutherakis Pep, that's a very difficult name, but that's the last name of the first author on that paper. This is the journal, this is the year, and then these are the page numbers. And if you go back to the PDF of this journal that she's referring to, you'll probably, hopefully, see a letter A in the column there. And then this annotation will support this statement. It is a tedious process. It's really important to slow down and get it right because otherwise, at the fact-checking stage, this will be called out and it'll say something like, "This reference does not support this statement," and that's kind of a nightmare. So you just want to be really accurate. And when you're pulling text from these references, you don't want to copy directly, but you definitely want the wording to be somewhat similar and to mean exactly the same thing as you're referencing. Otherwise, that will get called out. And you can use a program like Text Expander or a similar program for consistency and speed. So in my Text Expander on my computer, I have this acronym RefX, and it throws down this information on the screen. And then I just fill that out, and then it's the same every time. And you can see that annotation is a little different than the one I just showed you. So it's important to go by exactly the format that your client will want, and you just need to set that up in your Text Expander program. Text Expander is a paid program, so I took the liberty of searching for some other ones that are free, and you can pause the video here, look at all these different ones, and pick one out to test. And make sure that you set it up and have an easier, I'm not going to say easy, time annotating accurately. As I mentioned, you want to annotate as you go. You do not save this for the very end, even though there's a temptation to do that. And I would even annotate at the outline stage, even when it's not requested by the client, because you'll save yourself a world of headache when it comes to writing the manuscript. All right. You'll need Acrobat Pro or some free program like Foxit PDF Editor so that you can mark up the PDFs. The Acrobat Reader, that free program that you can download to read a PDF, won't let you actually make those changes. So Acrobat Pro is what you need, or that free program. And you can see here an example of a marked up PDF. You'll see the highlighted part. There's a letter C. So this would be, depending on the format that's being used, you might have first author, last name, the year, the journal name, you'll have the page number, and then you'll include the letter C in that annotation, which is in your manuscript, so that whoever's fact checking can easily check that the statement corresponds with that annotation. And then occasionally you'll go to mark up a PDF and you'll find that it won't allow you to modify it, which is about probably maybe less than 10% of PDFs, but it's really annoying. But there's a way around that. You can just go to this website, online2pdf.com. You select your files. Make sure that you avoid any ads or anything like that. Try not to do that. Select the file, put it in there, convert, and it will allow you to then download a version that you can highlight or add in a text box with a letter. And then one other thing that I probably need to mention, this paper is all marked up, but there's no annotations in the abstract. You might find the exact statement that you want in an abstract, but you don't mark up the abstract. That's just not what we do. So make sure that you find the statement somewhere in the full text rather than just marking up the abstract. Otherwise, it may be returned. Then I just wanted to show you about returning the references to the client. You can return them as a zipped folder. So these are all the references for this manuscript right here. There's 30 of them. And I wouldn't name them Ref 1 through Ref 30 until the very final stage, if at all, because you never know what's going to get changed around and then it will no longer be Ref 1 or Ref 2, whatever. But that's a way of ordering the references in the way of appearance in the text. You can see the year number, the first author last name, and this right here has a description of the kind of information that comes out. I would advise against that. I would actually just put the journal name instead of that. And then you see here, it says reference for requires purchase. A lot of the manuscripts that you find in PubMed may require purchase. You can still download the abstract, which is what's been done here. You can save it as an abstract, and then you can just look at this list here and you can provide a list of the abstracts that require purchasing, but you've given yourself a placeholder here. So, and then you can go back and add in the full text, rename the reference, and mark it up properly as a full text. All right, so that's a good way to do that. Whatever system you use, it should make sense to you and be consistent with that. And just be very deliberate, slow, take your time. And the more accurately you do these from the outset, the happier your future self will be with you when it comes time to submitting the final manuscript.